Okay, so this is a video on creating the engineering sketch. One of the very first things you need to do is up here in the top corner next to the number 1, you need to write your car number. Please do not write your name on here anywhere. The very first thing we're going to start on is the side view sketch. You'll notice on here, everything is lined up with 0. The end of the car is lined up with 0. This is an example of a finished sketch. In Google Classroom, this checklist is provided, and it walks you through the steps on how to do this. So the very first thing you need to do is to get this paper out of the booklet that's in your CO2 card box. And it's going to have staples, so you want to be careful taking out the staples so that you don't rip the paper. Okay, so you're going to write your car number in the box. You're going to want to line up your car, the end of your car, with 0. And you want to try to have 2 to 3 boxes underneath your car so that way you can write your measurements. The next thing you're going to do is to trace the outline of your car using straight lines. So the way I just did that was I set my car down, lining it up with 0, and holding it, I traced around the edges so that I have this. So now that with the car sitting where you drew it, you need to mark where your axle holes are. So right here, I see that this is my axle hole, so I'm going to make a mark on my paper. My axle hole, going to make a mark on my paper. That is step 3. Step 4 says I'm going to get my millimeters ruler, and I'm going to measure how far it is from the bottom of my axle to the bottom of my car. And it is about 7 on the back. So that means from the back where my axle is, I'm going to go up about 7, and I'm going to make a mark. Sorry about that. Then what I did is I measured the front, because the front is a little bit closer. It's more about 5 from the bottom of the axle hole to the bottom of the car. And then I measured from the bottom, and I made my mark. That mark signals that is the bottom of the axle hole. Okay. Step 5 says I'm going to measure the width of the axle hole. So when I measure the width of the axle hole, it shows it is about 4.5. So that means from that mark, I'm going to place my ruler, and I'm going to mark it where the top of the hole is on the front and back axle. And then I'm going to draw the circle showing where my axle hole is on my sketch. So now that I have marked my axles, on step 6, it says draw a dotted line from the center of your axle hole down about 20 millimeters below the car, and do this on both. So it's always good to use your ruler, line it up with the center, and then draw dotted lines going down. These dotted lines show the distance from one axle to another. So then what you're going to do is draw a solid line connecting your dotted lines. So after you draw your solid line here, then you're going to draw arrows at the ends showing what you measured from. And then on your car, you're actually going to measure from the center of one axle hole to the center of the other one. You're going to check and see what your drawing shows. And then you're going to write the measurement on the line. Okay. Now we are on step 10. It says using a ruler and at the end of the car, draw a solid line down. So using a ruler, line it up with 0 in the end of your car and draw a solid line coming down to this line right here. Then you're going to draw a line going across and you're going to have some arrows showing the distance from the end of your car to this axle. Now that you have drawn a solid line from that back of your car down, the line going across with the arrows, now it's a good idea to measure on your car the distance from the end of your car to the center of your axle hole. And then on your sketch, measure to make sure that it matches up, and then write the measurement on the line. Making sure that you write it nice and neat and readable. So that was step 10 and 11. So now in step 12, we need to get your wheels, and we're going to draw in your wheels. Now that you have your wheels, what you're going to do is you are going to center them where this axle part is. You're going to center that where the axle hole is drawn, and then you're going to trace around it. And you're going to do the same thing for this one. I lined it up so that the center of the axle is pretty much where it was on the paper. And then with your pencil, you are going to lightly go around the outside of this one and lightly go around the outside of that one. So now that you have traced around the outside of the wheels, to do the inside of the wheels, on the back, for the back wheel, if you use a penny, it's about the same size as that. And on the front wheel, a quarter is about the same size. So you just put your penny down, get it pretty much in the center, get your quarter down, get it pretty much in the center, and then trace around both of those lightly. Now that you have those drawn in, you will then, as you can see, this has 8 holes. So you will draw in your holes, your little holes. You'll do it on the front and the back. Now we've drawn in the wheels, but we need to label the diameter of the wheels. So what you're going to end up doing is you're going to draw this line pointing to the wheel, going over. This symbol right here means diameter. Then you're going to measure your wheel. It should be the back wheel. If it's the standard back wheel, it should be 40 millimeters. You're going to do the same thing on the front. A line with an arrow pointing to the wheel. A line coming off. The symbol for diameter in a standard front is 35 millimeters. After you get that done, then you're going to draw a line coming down from the very front of your car, just like we did at the back. A solid line coming down, this solid line with the arrows showing the distance it is from your front axle to the very tip of your car, and then writing in the measurement. If you have all of that done, then your side view is complete. Now with your side view being done, we're going to do the top view of the car. So you're going to move on up on the paper. Again, you're going to try to line up the end of your car with 0, which is down here, the same place you lined up this one. And with your pencil, holding your car, you will do the outline of your car on the paper. After you have done the outline of your car, you need to mark where your axles are. So I can see that my axle is here. That means I'm going to mark it very lightly on my paper. Whoops. My axle is here. I'm going to mark that very lightly on my paper. Then, on step 2, it says we're going to do a dotted line going across showing where our axles are located, which will end up looking like this with the dotted lines going across, showing where the axles are located. Now that you have shown where your axles are located, on step 4, 3 and 4, it says to draw in your wheels. So I'm going to take a picture and attach it here showing what your wheels should measure. There's a picture at the end of the video, and there's also a picture of the wheels attached to the assignment in Google Classroom. To help you do straight lines, and then when you finish drawing your wheels, you will shade them in. When you are finished, now that you have drawn in your wheels, we are on step 5 on the instructions on the checklist, and it says draw a line from the end of your car out about 20 to 25 millimeters, making sure the line does not touch the car. Then we're going to measure the distance from one edge of the car to the other. So that means these lines right here, you're going to draw those. Then with your car, looking at the top view, you're actually going to measure using millimeters, the distance going across, and then you're going to actually measure and see what you had on your sketch. Then you're going to draw this line right here with the arrows and write in the measurement. Then on step 6 on your checklist, it says draw a line from the outside edge wheel of your car. So that would be this line here and this line. Then you will put your wheels back on your car and measure from one edge to the other. Then you will measure it, whatever it is showing on your sketch, from one edge of the wheel to the other. Then you will draw in this solid line with the arrows and write in that measurement. Then you should have a finished, completed sketch, engineering drawing of your CO2 car. You can neatly fold it up. Some things to double check would be to make sure that all of your measurements are written nice and neat, that you did not write your name on it anywhere, that you used straight lines, and that you don't have any stray pencil marks. If you do, please erase them. The last thing you need to do in Google Classroom is take a good picture of this entire drawing, like what I'm showing you here, with the numbers showing at the bottom, and then attach your picture to the assignment in Google Classroom.